Welcome back to the Northwatch. I'm the host today. We're asking a question that every single Canadian, regardless of political leaning, needs to consider. How far is too far when a government says it wants to protect us? We've seen a series of new bills introduced by our government. Bill C-9, the Combating Hate Act, and Bill C-22, related to online safety and internet reporting. On their surface, they sound noble. Who doesn't want to stop hate and fight online exploitation? But as watchers from the North, we know that the biggest threats rarely appear overnight. They are built, brick by brick, law by law. Today, we are going to look beyond the titles of these bills. We will unpack what they actually mean for your freedom to speak, think, and access information. And, most importantly, we will place these modern Canadian laws next to the mirror of history, because history has a terrifying story to tell about what happens when leaders take total control of the public square to subdue their people. Let's get the facts straight. First, Bill C-9. It proposes to amend the criminal code.
Bill C-9 could be one of the most important and controversial laws Canada has seen in years. The Carney government calls it the Combating Hate Act, saying it's about keeping Canadians safe from hate crimes and extremist symbols. On the surface, that sounds like something most of us would agree with. But once you dig into the fine print, you see this bill does a lot more than ban swastikas. It reshapes how hate crimes are prosecuted, removes long-standing safeguards, and creates new categories of crime that could carry life sentences. Welcome to the Northern Bridge. I'm your host, and today we're going beyond the headlines to look at what Bill C-9 actually does, why critics say it could give the government sweeping new powers, and what it means for your rights and freedoms. The pitch is simple. Bill C-9 will make it easier to prosecute hate propaganda, ban extremist symbols, punish hate-motivated crimes more severely, and protect cultural and religious spaces from intimidation. Sounds good, right? But the problem is how the bill tries to get there, and that's where the controversy begins. For decades, Canadian law has required the Attorney General's personal approval before prosecutors could pursue hate propaganda charges. It was a safeguard against politically motivated prosecutions. Bill C-9 removes it completely. Why take away that check? The government doesn't explain. Critics say it's because they're planning to launch so many of these cases that one office couldn't possibly handle them all. That tells us two things. Prosecutions will rise dramatically, and decisions that once required top-level accountability will now be in the hands of local prosecutors, with no single person to hold responsible. The bill also bans certain symbols, Nazi swastikas, SS bolts, or any terrorist insignia. Penalties? Up to 2 years in prison. But here's the catch. It doesn't just cover those specific images. It bans anything that so nearly resembles them that people might get confused. That's subjective. Who decides what's too close? A Buddhist swastika, used for thousands of years before the Nazis ever existed, could suddenly be treated as a hate symbol if someone says it looks too similar. Yes, the bill has exceptions for education, religion, or journalism, but you'd have to prove in court that your use was legitimate and not against the public interest. That's a vague standard that puts the burden on you. Here's where it gets really heavy. Bill C-9 allows any crime, from assault to tax evasion, to be elevated to a hate crime if prosecutors argue it was motivated by hatred. That could mean 5 extra years on top of a 2-year offense, 10 extra years if the base crime carries a 5 to 10-year penalty, life imprisonment in the most serious cases. In some scenarios, you could serve more time for the supposed hate motivation than for the actual crime itself. And how do you prove hatred? The law defines it as detestation or vilification stronger than dislike. That's not a clear, objective line. It's prosecutors, police, and judges trying to figure out what was in your head when you committed the crime. Bill C-9 also makes it a crime to intimidate people from entering religious, cultural, or community spaces, including daycares and cemeteries. Penalties up to 10 years. Of course, no one supports real threats to these spaces, but the language is wide open. What if you're peacefully protesting outside a cultural center and someone says they feel afraid? What if your conduct is seen as provoking fear, even if that wasn't your intent? Under this bill, you could be charged. The big problem with Bill C-9 is that it relies on feelings, interpretations, and assumptions. Was someone confused by a symbol? Did someone feel intimidated? Did prosecutors believe you were motivated by hate? That's not clear law, it's guesswork. And with the Attorney General's safeguard gone, there's no single point of accountability. Decisions will be scattered across hundreds of prosecutors and police officers. That opens the door to selective enforcement, politicized prosecutions, and a chilling effect where Canadians self-censor out of fear of crossing invisible lines. Supporters argue, hate crimes hurt entire communities and deserve stronger penalties. Nazi symbols have no place in Canada, and removing red tape makes it easier to fight real threats. Critics counter, existing laws already cover hate propaganda, assault, intimidation, and vandalism. What Bill C-9 really does is expand government power, rely on subjective standards, and criminalize intent in ways that are difficult to define or defend against. Other countries ban hate symbols too. Germany bans swastikas, for instance, but they've developed precise legal tests and case law to avoid overreach. Canada's version looks broader, harsher, and far more vague. And let's not forget the timing. Bill C-9 was rushed out after a wave of protests and anti-Semitic incidents tied to Middle East conflicts. Quick laws passed under political pressure often create unintended consequences. This isn't just a debate about extremists, it's about ordinary Canadians who could get caught in the crossfire, teachers using historical material, protesters outside a community center, anyone accused of committing a crime that prosecutors decide was hate-motivated. The penalties are massive, up to life in prison, and the standards are subjective. That's why civil liberties experts are sounding the alarm. Bill C-9 is only at first reading. It will face committee review, amendments, and votes in both chambers. That's where Canadians can still weigh in. If this law is going to reshape our criminal code, it deserves careful scrutiny, not just political talking points. Bill C-9 is being sold as protection from hate, but in reality, it's a dramatic expansion of state power into speech, thought, and protest. Whether you see it as necessary or dangerous depends on how much trust you have in government to wield that power fairly. At the Northern Bridge, we believe Canadians deserve to know what's really at stake, because once freedoms are given up in the name of safety, they're rarely given back. Thanks for watching. If you found this breakdown valuable, please like, share, and subscribe, and tell us in the comments, does Bill C-9 go too far, or is it the protection Canada needs right now? Until next time, this is the Northern Bridge, Global Stories Afro-Canadian Lens.
It creates new offenses and changes the legal threshold for willful promotion of hatred. Critics, including the Canadian Bar Association and civil liberties groups, are worried about how vague this definition is. When hate is subjective, it becomes a tool for selective prosecution. It also repeals a long-standing protection that allowed people to discuss or express opinions on religious subjects in good faith. This means quoting from sacred texts could potentially lead to criminal prosecution. Next, Bill C-22. This bill is framed as fighting online child pornography, but we must look at the mechanism it uses.
The Liberals under Mark Carney are at it again, folks. And they're not just knocking on the door of your privacy. They're kicking it down. They just crossed a line that most Canadians never thought was possible. Just days ago, Public Safety Minister Gary Anandasangari tabled Bill C-22, the so-called Lawful Access Act. He claims it's about fighting predators, traffickers, and extortionists. And he says it's all about keeping Canadians safe in the online space. But let's be real clear, shall we? This bill hands police unprecedented powers to monitor your digital life. Under this legislation, telecom companies like Bell or Rogers would be forced to track your location in real time, at all times, and hand it over to the police with just a warrant. But that's not all, guys. On nothing more than reasonable suspicion, no judge, no probable cause, just a hunch, they can demand your basic subscriber info, your ID, your location information, who you are, and where you've been online, without a full warrant. They can go after social media companies, AI firms, and cloud providers, basically anyone who's holding your digital life. They can compel them to cough up more details about you with judicial approval. Your every click, your every step, your every association, flagged and filed because one officer suspects something. It's a backdoor to mass metadata surveillance, all under the guise of fighting crime, child exploitation, or national security threats. But this isn't about catching terrorists or child predators. It's the infrastructure for total control. This comes right after the backlash to Bill C-2, which went way too far and got rewritten. They say they listened to your concerns after the backlash to Bill C-2, the one that would let police rifle through your mail. But this is the same thing. Lowered thresholds, mandatory tracking capabilities baked into the system, and international data grabs expanded. They rewrote it, they rebranded it, and now they just want to ram it through. This isn't safety, guys. It's a step towards a police state where every click, every post, and every search could easily get you flagged. And the reality is they've actually already been doing this for years. But now they're putting pen to paper and they're trying to make it legal. In an age of AI, social media, and global threats, they claim that they need this. But what they really need is your compliance. Canada is supposedly the only Five Eyes country without these modern tools. But they want to get them at what cost? Your privacy? Your anonymity online, your freedom to speak without Big Brother watching. Again, this isn't about safety, guys. They don't care about your safety. It's a slow surveillance totalitarian tiptoe that is turning Canada into an Orwellian state. So we need to push back hard before it's too late, because once they have these powers, they won't give them back. It's that simple, guys. So please share this video far and wide. Take a stand against this and reject Bill C-22 before your digital life belongs to them. If you appreciate my efforts to bring you this information, please check the links in the description on whatever video sharing platform you happen to be watching this on. You can pitch in a few bucks at buymeacoffee.com/pressfortruth, or you can make a donation at pressfortruth.ca/donate. So that's all for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Stay vigilant, keep fighting the good fight, and stay tuned. I'm going to have more video reports coming soon, God willing. This is Dan Dix reporting for Press for Truth. We all want truth. The truth will set you free.
It forces internet service providers to report suspected activity and can require telecom companies to store metadata about all users, communications, who you talk to, when, and your location for up to 1 year. This data is the footprint of your entire digital life. So we see a pattern. The government is expanding its power to define speech and compel private companies to become extensions of state surveillance. They say it's for our safety, but we need to ask, who guards the guards? We are not the first society to grapple with the tension between safety and freedom. The very definition of a totalitarian state is one that controls every aspect of public and private life. And the first tool they always reach for is control of the word. In Nazi Germany, the Ministry of Propaganda took absolute control to define hate for the state, silencing independent voices. In the Soviet Union, state control of information was absolute, jailing citizens for thought crimes using vague laws. In China, under Mao, hate speech was defined as anything deviating from the party line. Totalitarian leaders never start by saying, "I want to subdue you." They start by saying, "I want to protect you from dangerous ideas." They take control of the word to create submission, making people afraid to think or speak. This brings us to the 21st century twist: digital authoritarianism. Governments worldwide are redefining media laws to include social media, using the same logic we see in Bills C-9 and C-22. When a government can compel a company to create a metadata footprint of your entire life, they are building a database of potential targets. In Canada, we have already seen the state weaponize financial power to crush protests through freezing bank accounts. Combined with surveillance and speech definitions, what is left of your freedom? We are not just talking about being banned. We are talking about being criminalized by your own state. We are not the Soviet Union or Nazi Germany. but our government is seeking the exact same powers historical leaders used to begin their descent into tyranny. These bills are about fundamental control. As watchers in the North, our job is to ask hard questions. If we give away our right to speak and think in the name of safety, we will find we have neither. This is your country, your freedom, your watch. Thank you for watching. Be sure to subscribe. Let's stay watchful.